In this video, we're going to be talking about converting rates, and we've been finding rates and we've been finding unit rates. Sometimes we want to convert one rate to another rate or one unit rate to another unit rate. So we have to know how to do that, and we're going to do that using what we call dimensional analysis, and that's using units of measurement as factors when we're doing our computing. So we're going to take our labels into consideration when we're doing our calculations here to convert our rates from one to the other. And we're going to be using something called unit conversion factors. And a unit conversion factor is a ratio that has two different units of measurement in it, but they're equivalent. So I've got lots of examples here of unit conversion factors that we're going to be using today. So the first one is 60 minutes to 1 hour. This ratio right here is a unit conversion factor because it's equivalent to 1, because the numerator and the denominator are equal. 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So this is a unit conversion factor. We can use this to multiply by other rates because it's equivalent to 1 and it's not going to change the value since the numerator and denominator are equivalent. And then likewise, we could write that same one as 1 hour to 60 minutes. Just flip it over, use the reciprocal. So these are both unit conversion factors. And there are lots of unit conversion factors. I only have a few examples here. Likewise, we could compare feet and miles to write a unit conversion factor. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So this ratio or this rate here is a unit rate, or sorry, not a unit rate, it's a unit conversion factor because it's equivalent to 1, and then the reciprocal 1 mile for every 5,280 feet, 1 yard to 3 feet, 3 feet to 1 yard, 128 ounces to 1 gallon, or 1 gallon to 128 ounces. So two different units, but they're equivalent. They're equivalent to each other. That makes a unit conversion factor. So how are we going to convert our rates? Well, we're going to multiply the rate we're converting by one of those unit conversion factors to convert one unit to another. So we want to convert the unit we have to a different unit of measurement. So we're going to use those unit conversion factors to do that since they're equivalent to 1 and they won't change the value of our rate. Repeat it again if you need to change another unit. Sometimes in a rate we might have to change one of the units or both of the units, and we'll just repeat step 1 if we need to change both units, and then finally simplify the rate to a unit rate. So let's look at an example of what we're talking about here. We want to convert 100 miles per hour to miles per minute. So these are two different unit rates. Miles per hour and miles per minute are two different things. We want to convert one to the other. So we need to convert the hours to the minutes since that's what's changing here. We have miles per hour, miles per minute. So we're changing the hours to minutes here to get a different unit rate. So we need to convert the hours to minutes. So what I did is I took the rate that we started with, 100 miles per hour, and I'm multiplying it by a unit conversion factor that compares hours and minutes so that I can convert hours to minutes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So that's the unit conversion factor I used. And I put hours in the numerator because I want my hours to cancel out with the hours in my unit rate, 100 miles per hour. So what I get here is my hours cancel each other out, and I'm left with miles in the numerator and minutes in the denominator. So if I multiply across, I get 100 miles and 60 minutes. So 100 miles every 60 minutes, and that's not a unit rate. So I'd take the top divided by bottom, 100 divided by 60 to give me 1.7 miles per minute. And that is my unit rate now converted to miles per minute. 100 miles per hour is 1.7 miles every minute. So that's converting rates. Here we have a little bit more complex example, so I'm going to break this down into the steps. The TGV is a high-speed rail train in France. At top speed, it runs at an average of 320 kilometers per hour. How many meters per second is this? So we're making two conversions here. We need to convert kilometers to meters, and we need to convert hours to seconds because we started with kilometers per hour and we want to end with meters per second. So the kilometers are changing to meters and the hours are changing to seconds. So we're doing two different rate or unit conversions here. So I'm going to take it one at a time. So the first step, I'm going to convert the kilometers to meters. So if I want to come up with a unit conversion factor, there are 1,000 meters in every kilometer. So this is my unit conversion factor right here, 1,000 meters for every kilometer. That is equivalent to 1. So I can multiply my rate times 1 and it's not going to change it. But what is going to happen is my kilometers are going to cancel each other out because I put kilometers on the bottom. So now my kilometers have canceled out and all I'm left with is meters in the top and hours in the bottom. So when I multiply across, I get 320,000 meters every hour. So now I have meters per hour. I don't want meters per hour, I want meters per second. So now in the second step, I'm going to take this rate and now convert the hours to seconds. And then my unit conversion factor, there are 3,600 seconds in every hour. And I put hours on the top because I want hours to cancel out with my hours and my rate. So now I have meters in the top, seconds in the bottom. When I multiply across, I get 320,000 meters every 3,600 seconds. And that is not a unit rate. So again, I take that in that last step, and I'm going to simplify that to a unit rate, top divided by bottom. 320,000 divided by 3,600 gives me 88.9 meters per second. So we have converted our 320 kilometers per hour to meters per second, 88.9 meters per second. An adult cheetah can reach a speed of about 70 miles per hour. How fast is this in feet per second? Again, we're going to have to do two conversions here. We have to convert miles to feet and hours to seconds. So our miles is converting to feet and our hours are converting to seconds. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the miles to feet. So I start with my 70 miles per hour rate that I was given. And I'm going to use a unit conversion factor. There are 5,280 feet in a mile because I'm converting miles and feet. And I put miles on the bottom so that it would cancel with the miles in the top of my rate. So now I just have feet in the numerator and hours in the denominator, and I multiply across. 70 times 5,280 is 369,600 feet every hour. So now I've converted to feet per hour. But I need feet per second. So I need to change my hours to seconds. So now in the next step, I'm going to take my rate that I have, and now I'm going to multiply that by another unit conversion factor that changes hours to seconds. And there are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. And again, I put hours in the numerator so that it would cancel with the hours in the denominator. I multiply across. 369,600 times 1 is 369,000. Oops, that should be 600 right there. And then 1 times 3,600 is 3,600. And I got to double check to make sure that I did that correctly and didn't mess up that calculation. So to find my unit rate, yes, I did that right. That's 369,600 feet every 3,600 seconds, which as a unit rate is 102.7 feet per second. So a couple of rates we had to change there. We're just going to do the process twice. And again, always using those unit conversion factors. Here's a table that's also in your textbook of measurement conversions that we can use to convert customary units to metric units or metric units to customary units. So we can also convert between units of measure. So let's take a look at some examples of converting from one unit of measure or one system of measurement to another. 6 miles is approximately how many kilometers? Well, if I look back in this chart and I find the comparison from miles to kilometers. So we're going from miles to kilometers. So in my chart, I want to look for miles to kilometers, and I find that right here. 1 mile is about 1.609 kilometers. So 6 miles, I would have to multiply that by 1.609 because every mile is about 1.609 kilometers, and I get 9.654 kilometers. So 1 mile, or sorry, 6 miles is about 9.654 kilometers. Next one, I'm converting ounces to grams. So if I go back to my chart here and I look for the ounces to grams conversion, that's right here. 1 ounce is about 28.35 grams. So if I take 12 times 28.35, that will tell me how many grams are in 12 ounces, and that is 340.2 grams. So now we've converted ounces to grams. 12 ounces is about 340.2 grams. And then lastly, 11 yards is about how many meters. So again, if I look back at my chart, I'm looking for yards to meters, which is right here. 1 yard is about 0.914 meters. So I take the number of yards times the number of meters are in 1 yard, and I get 10.054 meters. So 11 yards is 10.054 meters there. So here, our final example, if we're converting a rate that contains conversions from one system of measurement to another. At a recent Winter Olympics, USA short track speed skater Apollo Ono won a gold medal by skating about 12 meters per second. Rounded to the nearest hundredth, how many miles per hour is this? So if he traveled 12 meters per second, how many miles per hour was Apollo traveling? So again, we need to convert two things here. We were given meters per second and we want miles per hour. So we're converting meters to miles and seconds to hours. So if we look back at that table, which I'm not going to flip back to, we're going to use this right here to help us. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. But you might be thinking, we're trying to convert meters to miles, not kilometers. So we need meters. Well, I know there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, so I can use this to help me find out that 1 mile is approximately 1,609 meters. So I could do a little bit of deduction there using that table. So 1 mile is 1,609 meters, and that's the unit conversion factor that I used right here. So I took the 12 meters per second and I multiplied it to convert my meters to miles, and I put meters in the bottom so that it would cancel out with the meters in the numerator, leaving me miles in the numerator and seconds in the denominator. So that's 12 miles every 1,609 seconds. And then again, I need to convert seconds to hours. So I take the rate that I got, and then now I'm going to use a different unit conversion factor to convert my seconds to hours. And again, there's 3,600 seconds in an hour. I put seconds in the numerator so that it would cancel out with the seconds in the denominator. Now I have miles in the numerator, hours in the denominator, which is 43,200 miles every 1,609 hours. That is not a unit rate. So we have to, in our final step, convert that to a unit rate, top divided by bottom, or miles divided by hours, and you get about 26.85 miles per hour. It's a long process, but if you get the hang of using those unit conversion factors, it's really not that hard to do. You're just multiplying one rate times another rate a couple of times and then simplifying it to a unit rate.